Welcome to the Live in One podcast, a Marvel Crisis Protocol and wargaming podcast. My name is Stephen Maddox. I'm here today with Stephen Bork.
Hey.
And Nick Shaw.
How are we doing?
Cool. And so today, we're going to Nick and I went down to a BEC event at Midgard.
What is BEC, Stephen?
It's for the Big East Crisis Cup circuit. It's the East Coast Invitational circuit, where there's 4 different regions: the New England area, East Coast, kind of the Ohio River Valley area, and then New Jersey and New York get their own, I think, because they're so big, where there's an invitational event. I think it's March of next year, where the top 8 players from each region go down to an invitational. So every store can run a couple of these points invitationals where the top 10 players gets points for it, and that's how you earn your spot. So Nick and I traveled down, about a 2-hour drive, carpooled down together. It's a pretty fun time. I did pretty well. I came in 4th, went 3-1, lost to the guy that won the thing, if that matters. It doesn't really matter. Nick, how did you do?
We don't talk about how I did.
Nick went the opposite.
I did. I went the opposite. I went 1-4.
3.
You played a 5th round?
Yeah, 1-3. I did in my mind, and I still lost it, apparently.
The 5th round is the mental torment the day after.
Oh my gosh.
Did you have fun, though?
Yeah, it was fun.
Perfect. That's
really like that
right
store down there. It was really nice.
Yeah, that's a good point. Midgard Games down in, was it Derry, New Hampshire?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really good store.
And Nick, that's your first time there too, right? How'd you feel about the store? Because I love it there. So.
Yeah, it was my first time there. I really liked it. The gaming space was really awesome.
So would you say, like, the biggest thing that I noticed too is the amount of like paint products they have at that store is just insane.
Oh yeah, that was great. Like, just having all those options was really cool. I didn't end up buying anything, but the fact that I could have bought a ton of different brands was awesome.
I bought quite a bit of paint.
I almost asked you guys to buy me paint, if that counts too. So
the meta of the group of players down there is also phenomenal. Really fun group of people down there to go down to. So it's a really fun. It's worth the drive. Like, not even a question. So this episode, we're going to kind of run through our experiences there, and then kind of recap at the end about the meta of this game right now. Is very interesting, to say the least. It's very fun, very different, which is good.
To be honest, Steven, it's fucking weird. Like, after seeing this weekend, but we'll get there. And to be honest, Steven and Nick kind of talk about their experiences a little bit. I'll be a little bit more silent. I wasn't there, so
we'll see how silent.
Fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
Cool. So I brought Shield, my standard Shield list. If you watched our battle report on RSMP, it was basically that. So it's Shield with the Namor and Zemo. So you get the 2 reroll bubbles where you bring in the Invaders leadership. You get to do more stuff there. The only small change is Spectacular Spider-Man's in the list. Play 4 good rounds. Shout out to the first guy I played in round 1. He only had like 9 games played total, and he stepped into play so it would have an even number of players, so there was no bye. Great guy, new to the game, still had a blast. He made what's that card called where Bishop and Gambit come together and then Gambit gets a beam?
Whoa, what?
Yeah, right?
I can't remember the name of it.
I think it's Mutant Trader, where like Gambit goes and they can play a card and then Bishop gets to make a beam attack or something like that. And we're playing on an E-map and he actually got that off of me. I'm like,
whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, good on you, man. Having fun, doing fun stuff. He was a great guy, had a great game. But my 2 main games I want to talk about are going to be my round 2 and my round 3 games. Round 2, I played John. I like to call it the Return of the Sweat, because back when we went to Iron Weld for the team tournament, Nick unfortunately had to drop out last minute, and John stepped in to fill in for Nick, and just fit right in with our stupid team name of Moist Main.
And can we just talk about, so John, if you're listening, this is kind of a love letter. This guy he's never met us before, and we're the 2 Stevens, and I don't know. In context, like, Steven and I take this game like pretty seriously, I guess, at most days. And we walk in and we just start cracking all these jokes about. So if you haven't noticed by now in our podcast, we like to joke with the slang term sweatiness. We get it from 40K, but it ultimately, that term comes from digital gaming, like gaming online, like online play. But irrelevant of where that kind of term comes from, we walk in and Steve and I are like, I hope you're fucking ready to like sweat barrels, motherfucker. And this guy's like, He like chest bumps me. He's like, I was born ready. So, he's the man, by the way.
Yeah. And he always brings like really, really fun, weird lists too, which is always fun, and just has like these weird, fun ideas. And he's just a really good player too, so it usually works out. So he was playing.
He's been playing since the inception of the game too, so he's been around the block. I think.
Yeah, he was playing a Winter Guard with Thanos and Hulk list, which was very interesting. We ended up pulling Paranoia Pummels and Demons Downtown. And Paranoia Pummels is that weird one where you can get like a bonus VP point, and there's those 4 points on the middle. So looking at, there's a Thanos there. He has Dynamo. He has Omega Red. He has a whole bunch of damage reduction. I went down the path of, let's do that Namor bubble. So I did Namor, Dynamo, Nick Jr., Spec Spider, and Zemo, do the little reroll bubble kind of tricks and fun stuff. And then also Dynamo is really helpful against Thanos to try to just not die. With the repulsion field to reroll his dice kind of thing. Pretty standard.
So, sorry to interrupt here, Steven, too. Like, for newer players or even more experienced, so like yesterday, you were in between 2 and 3 of the top Shield player. So I do want to pick your brain a little bit at a tournament. Like, what do you think? So you walk up to a table, right? You see this guy's list. It's a weird list. So what are you thinking when you start to decide who to choose in terms of character selection based on the mission?
It depends on the mission. So we're playing an EMAP. So I'm like, all right, so I probably have a Dynamo there because we're going to be bundled in the middle. I know he's going to have a Dynamo. So I want to not just get beamed and shocked by his Dynamo all the time. So I want to kind of counter that. And then I have to look, okay, he's going to have Dynamo because that's his leader and he always wants to play Winter Guard. And then I know he has these huge big threat problems around it. And Namor is a good piece as well. Like, yes, he had a lot of damage reduction and Namor can counter that. But Namor also has a stagger. So it's like I needed an answer for those big threat pieces. And it's either probably Namor or I consider Iron Man with Helios Laser. However, Thanos is... Usually when I play Thanos, I just ignore him. Like, I don't really touch him that much because you just give him power and he has a really annoying damage reduction aspect to him. So I was like, all right, I need to play around other things. Namor's speed, I think, will be very beneficial here. And going through that same mindset, that's when I'm like, ooh, I think Zemo will also be very beneficial here to have 2 long movers that I can try to move around him a little bit. I know we're on an E-map, so it's right in the middle. However, it's not Gamma, it's Demons. So you can kind of bounce around the edges of it quite a bit or kind of go onto his back point easier. So that was my mindset. And then I ended up still bringing Nick Jr. just for the grunts so I can do some ability there. And then Nick can also do a bunch of damage where I always like to think when I'm bringing in my set, be like, I need a piece here that I can push through a bunch of damage one turn if I really need to. And usually that's Nick Jr. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah, so I just think it's useful for our listeners to understand your kind of thought process.
And then, side note, the big piece here, I think that was a really crucial pick for me was Spectacular Spider-Man. I originally brought him because Thanos is size 3, and Spectacular Spider-Man has a size 3 throw, so I can displace him, is the idea. Or I can throw his size 3 Thanos into his own characters or his Dynamo and move those characters around, which is very, very beneficial.
Yeah, or do damage to them if you need to, too.
Yeah, exactly, right? So that was very beneficial. It was a pretty standard game. It was very bloody. I was dying very much so. I think the game ended round 4 because of, there's a couple things. I was able to spike damage onto an Omega Red, and what happens there is I left his Omega Red alive on 1. It's a good podcast name. And then that forced his hand because he wanted to activate with his Thanos. He had a point in the game where Thanos was at his home point, and I had 2 characters there. He probably could have picked both of them up with Thanos' activation. But because I was able to spike that Omega Red low and he was alive on 1, I forced him to activate him basically, where he's like, well, now I have to activate Omega Red or I lose this activation entirely. And so that kept my 2 pieces alive. And then I was able to do a complete rotation on the board where I brought Zemo from the top point all the way down. And on the way down, I was able to poke 1 last damage into Omega Red. And so that point was then contested by me and then get down to my home point and score that. So then what happened is now that Spider-Man that was sitting in my back point the whole time could double move web swing up to the far back Demons. And I scored 6 points Steven, exactly.
You're learning.
I know, right? You got to bounce around.
Yeah.
And I was able to score 6 exactly to get to 16, which was my only chance of winning because like next round, he was flipping over 2 characters. I was already injured on stuff. He would have just picked me off the table. And won right there. So I was able to kind of just pick out that little thing. And I do think it's important sometimes to there was a point there, and usually my longest turns are usually in the middle of the game for that reason too. Like, take your time in the middle of the game. Like, sometimes run one, it's easy. You just move the pieces up, it's fine.
You're setting up, basically.
Yeah. The middle of the game, I had to sit back there and think, like, ooh, what is the order of operations here? Like, who do I want to activate first? Who do I want to try to move out? Stuff like that. And I think that was a really good game of that reasoning, where that made a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think to be fair too, that swing turns happen in this game like a lot. It's particularly the way I play, as you've seen, recently. I've kind of gravitated where, maybe you sacrifice, because what you're really talking about in this game is like momentum, right?
Yeah.
And so those turns where you leave characters alive on one for the following turn, or maybe they're alive on one and forcing your opponent to take that sort of activation, that's kind of a psychological trick too. So that's an interesting, I'm just kind of pointing out that that's a very interesting way to showcase the fact that momentum, like if you see an opening like that, where an opponent takes, they take their alive on one character, which maybe not even is the most beneficial move for them at the time, but it can be like a trick. Or a mistake, an in-game mistake where they take that alive on one character, they activate it, and that's kind of your opportunity to score 5 or 6 points and swing the game in your favor. So
yeah. And then even like later on the tournament, I won't go into too much detail, but my round 4 game, I left a Black Panther alive on one as well, but I did it more so in an idea where it's like
next turn, right?
Right? I can easily knock him out next turn. And I can, kind of finish out the game stronger. And so, there is an idea where it's like sometimes it can be your benefit in 2 separate ways, which is nice.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing to point out for newer players. Like sometimes you have to think about, so when you're approaching dealing damage, you should always think like, is this damage, you don't have to attack, you know what I mean? You can just move once and then call it.
Yeah.
And you should always think to yourself sort of, what is my next round looking like? And will leaving a character alive on one, because that's easy to daze, right? That's almost a guaranteed daze, even with like 4 dice attack. So, what is most beneficial here? How can I score the most points and gain the most momentum throughout this game rather than just in one turn?
Especially if you're going to have prio. Like sometimes, I don't want to leave him alive on one because he'll have prio and he can activate that character first.
Right, but that's a good reason to deal the damage to him, right?
Exactly, right. So there's a whole bunch of kind of variables in there that change your mind.
Yeah, but also definitely something to think about. And I know in this tournament recap, we're also trying to kind of go over general themes about the state of the game and also better gameplay in general.
Yeah.
So
I think a thing you should do, even though I should have known what Dynamo did, but something that caught me off guard is the Winter Guard leadership can remove a status condition. So I came in there being like, I'm going to bring Namor because he can stagger people. And he's like, I can just pick up the stagger. I'm like, dang it, that doesn't work the way I thought it was going to work. So realistically, Namor wasn't a super pivotal piece that I had, but I did use his leadership because of the amount of damage Thanos can put out, and that probably kept me alive fairly reasonably well.
Cool.
But yeah,
and
definitely.
What are you you're titling this game Return of the Sweat?
Yeah, Return of the Sweat. We're gonna bring it up every time. Every time we play each other. And I hope to play John again. He's a really fun opponent. Really good player. Just really fun to joke around with. Like it was just a really good game. Like if I would have lost that game, it would have been perfectly fine.
To be honest, if I had to give someone who's like pretty decent at this game an award for like the most appropriate and comfortable player I played against, most of the time, outside of like our main group.
I was gonna say, like, where's me?
I mean, you can get pretty sweaty, but no, I mean, so in terms of sportsmanship, which we'll have an episode on, John is like pretty good exemplar, especially if you've never met him. Like he's just so approachable at a game, which is, I think, something a lot of players have, can kind of struggle with personality wise sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyways, So
my next round, I'll jump into that because this is also like a game I kind of took a different mindset to. Sometimes a tournament play, you can't just get all super focused and, annoyed at pairings or like, oh, I'm tired or I can't really do this. You kind of always have to go in with a good attitude. So I paired it to really good Webs player locally that I had.
He's top 5 now because of his tournament performance.
Yeah. So great player. I've lost to him before. I lost to him at Ironwell. Boy,
Steven, I have lost to him before as well. So.
Yeah, he's good. I think Nick and I were looking. He's got like a 77% win rate on Longshanks. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
he's a really good player.
And his name is
Matt Alex. I wasn't gonna name drop too much, but yeah, Matt. So I could have gone into that game being like, oh man, I'm gonna lose. This is stupid. I've already lost him before. I don't know how to play into webs, and I can make all these excuses, but I try to go into it more so being like, hey, I did really poorly against him last time. Let's see if I can just do better, right? And I'm gonna set that expectation that I don't need to win this game, right? I just want to do better, feel like I know the matchup better, have a better like play style going forward. And I definitely think I did. It was kind of funny because we flipped the exact same crisis that we played last time of Extremis and Montesi.
Oh, no.
And webs with Extremis is a little hard because they have Wong and Extremis points and they just heal like crazy and you're like, oh man, can't do anything.
Especially now, man, with this, I don't know, with Mark for Death being taken out of the game too.
Yeah. I did feel really good. So I brought Zemo again. So I brought Zemo, Namor, Nick Jr., Bullseye, and then of course Agent Venom. And the idea is like, oh, it's a joke. Sometimes Agent Venom is great into webs, but sometimes he just doesn't roll dice well. And you're like, it doesn't work the way you want to. So I'm like, okay, if I bring Agent Venom with some reroll bubbles, I might have a better play here, right? And he did okay. I made some mistakes on like how I activated him. I definitely think so. But Namor felt really good. So like Namor gave me the ability, because I feel like with web sometimes they just like keep you at an arm's length as they're scoring, and it's really hard to reach up and interact with them.
Yeah, and they play that runaway game really well. So
in this game, Black Widow ran away in the corner at one point, and I was like, dang it, she's holding a point, and I have no way of getting over there to her, which is a bummer. But Zemo with his charge, I think felt really nice to be able to charge.
To be fair, like Namor, I think like the characters you brought, well, at least Namor and Zemo are really setting you up for success as much as you can, right?
Yeah. I was thinking about afterwards, because I lost priority, and webs have Cat and the Spider, so they can do a safe midline grab. And so we were playing on Montesi, so he was going to take that middle point. I had no kind of conversation with it. So part of me was wondering if I should have not brought Nick Jr., because another thing that can kind of come up, and I remember talking to Nick later on the tournament, is that I don't eyes a lot against webs to like run away from them, because usually they're trying to push me away anyways. So I was thinking about, okay, maybe I don't bring Nick, or maybe when I get targeted, I should use eyes to get forward momentum and to move towards him.
And to be clear, not eyes on the prize, you're using eyes in the sky.
Eyes in the sky. The best shield card in the whole game.
Yeah, I just want to be clear for non-players, because that was rotated, so...
that one's gone. But Eye in the Sky is still in, so it lets me move if I get targeted by an attack. And so what can happen is like, oh, everyone has impact webbing. So this happened in the game where like I'm going to take Agent Venom, I'm going to move him to that right side Extremis, and I sit on that point. But then he has Miles and Ghost Spider opposite of him, and can either just impact webbing him or swing in and kick him off the point with Miles. And so there could have been a play there where be like, okay, I'm going to use this eyes to then walk into the impact webbing to get pushed back small, right?
Cool, yeah.
And I think like that was something I definitely learned from this game. Is like I have that play, like I have to change what I think that card does. I also brought Sacrifice in my 5 for my tactics cards. I think that was a mistake. I didn't use it.
Yeah.
Like webs is not really punching me that hard.
They have like maybe one turn where they can do that if they bust out that card.
And I think if I was playing on an E-map or Researcher, yes, but we were playing on Extremis and we were spread out. I didn't really have two characters close to each other to use it ever. So I think that was a mistake.
And to be fair, like those two mission pairings are kind of ideal for webs.
Yeah. Extremis, again, I thought was pretty good for him, where he can heal so much. And then
like I think if you get him on an E-map too, Steven, like I think it's a different game for you.
Yeah,
you know?
I would agree. Because I did the thing again. I did it last game, and this time I didn't do it as badly, but I try to focus down Ghost Spider because he kind of put her in the middle to pull Nick off my back point so I wouldn't score the point. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go with Agent Venom. I'm going to try to shoot into Ghost Spider to drop her. I left her on 1, which feels bad because then she just moves back, gets healed by Wong, and heals at the Extremis point. And you're like, oh my God. Right?
Yeah.
Luckily, this time I changed my list around enough that I had Zemo that could charge in and finish her, and at least Dazer, and not just leave her fully on health the whole time to heal up back to full, which is good. But I kind of learned there, it's like I can't just focus her down. Like if I don't get a good, easy kill on something, I shouldn't just ping it because I'm just giving him power to displace me later on.
Yep. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. Another good card that came in here was the Shield Mobile, which is an attack card that I can pay 3. I know it's a good name, right? I can pay 3 power to long move. So I was able to do that to, again, just to be able to like project threat and to reach into him, which I feel like was my hardest time last time. So I lost this game. I think I lost like 19-10 or something like that, or 18-10, because I think he scored 6 last round. But I feel really good about it. I would say I feel like I learned a lot. He's a great opponent. Like, that's how you learn the game. That's how you get better at this game.
I also think, like, as a side anecdote, I know I texted you, Stephen, after, and I'll share this with our listeners because I think it's useful. So I texted Stephen yesterday and I was like, okay, so we hunker down, I play webs, and we just figure out how to beat them.
Yeah. And you just get those reps, right? And you just learn what you can do. Again, like, learn those things where, like, hey, I should play my tactics cards differently. I should bring different tactics cards. Like, you just learn those little nitty-gritty details, which will give you
especially now that, like,
advantage.
And we'll talk about this later in the episode, but now webs lists are including Namor instead of Amazing Spider-Man, and it actually makes their list, that coupled with the removal of Mark for Death, makes their list, like, really annoying again.
Yeah. And they still have a safe midline grab with
Namor.
Namor or was it Cat and the Spider as well, that you can throw Black Cat forward, and then she loves to have a point too.
Yeah, if you're going wider, you bring Cat and the Spider. And if you're, bringing Namor.
Yeah.
But
so they still have, I feel like, a fairly standard play style still, or like they haven't really changed the way they play that much.
They're still like A to S tier.
I would still put them S tier, absolutely. Yeah. They're very strong still. So that was my tournament. My last round was very fun with Matt. Different Matt. Great guy, local guy, met him a lot. It was a prime example of why you shouldn't put 3 hammers on a dynamo, because then my dynamo just kind of shot him off the board, unfortunately for him. So yeah, if you're playing against a shield player who has dynamo on an E map with hammers, don't let him get 3 hammers on dynamo.
Or maybe let him and just get to finish early and relax. Yeah. Nice. So I guess, like, Nick, since you've been kind of quiet, how was your experience? Like, how were your games? What'd you bring? How do you feel about your performance?
So I brought defenders, which I like. Performance-wise, I would have liked to have done better. I will say all my games were close. They all came down to, like, a swing turn at the very end that lost me the game, basically, except for my 3rd round game, which was into Guardians.
Something I would interject that I actually didn't, like, physically tell you yesterday, I probably should have, but that's a really good mindset to have, where it's like, or just to realize that, like, yeah, maybe I didn't do as well as I wanted to, but in all my games I felt like I was in it and I had an ability to make stuff happen. I think it's sometimes like all you can really ask for in actually a tournament play style. It's like sometimes you just got to feel like you're in the game, and that's what matters.
Yeah, and like all my games were that way until the end. Like I had a chance in all of them, but my opponent got the flip turn usually late, where they would just score a bunch of points, and I couldn't recover at that point because they'd hit the 16 or higher, and it was just done. My first game was into a Shields player. I always struggle with Shield, and it went pretty well. I think in the end, my Crisis actually backfired on me with Struggle for the Cube, because I started taking damage.
So, Nick, I looked at your Crises yesterday, because I was following this pretty closely since we were going to talk about it. I did notice you took your extracts. I don't know who won priority specifically, but I do know that from what I saw, it looked like 3 of your games you were taking extracts.
So I think I won priority 3 times, and I chose my extracts twice. And both times I pulled Struggle. In both of those games, the cubes, they backfired on me real hard. So like the first game, all my characters just took so much damage from holding the cubes that when that swing turn came, like he'd knock out like 2 to 3 of my characters. So I just had no activations. And
so I'm guessing you didn't run away. That's my
guess. Running away. Like, I mean, like, especially against Shield, they can move and they have range on you. And in that particular match, the only character I had was Stealth, I believe, was Elektra. But they hunted her down. It was fine. I was slightly expecting to play into Namor in that one, because there was a centerline grab. So I chose not to actually take Amazing because of that. I figured I was going to lose the midline, but
I think that's fair. Yeah. And I feel like most games, like if they have a safe line middle grab, you probably shouldn't try to bring yours too.
No,
especially if they have priority too. You know?
Yeah, like I don't think you should expect your opponent to be like, oh, he's not going to do that.
And in that game,
maybe not everyone knows to do it, but like you can't like, what if the situation? And then you like just
to be fair, most players who play consistently, like that's the move. Yeah, that's your opening, if you will. Yeah. You know?
But that threw me off because he had priority with a midline grab, so I chose not to take amazing.
I guess actually you're big on this, Steven. So let's recap. A safe midline grab is the ability to have something go up and pick up a point on the midline and then move backwards, so you can't just get shot right away.
And so the easiest way to do that too for newer listeners, there's also a couple of really good YouTube videos on this. But the easiest way to do that is to have a character with a medium base who moves L. And there's only 3 that can do that in the game. So you have Angela, you have Amazing Spider-Man, and now you have Namor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But, so yeah, it just came down to the last turn. Like, we were all, throughout that whole match, we were within a point of each other until the last turn when my characters had just taken too much damage, and defenders are not the most durable as far as health pool. So that's what that came down to. My second game was into Spider Foes, and it was a newer player, and it was a really good game. Like, it was heavily in my favor up until the very end, when again, Cubes had just wore my characters down to the point where he had the ability to take out characters that were holding cubes and pick them up. And then my third game was into Guardians of the Galaxy. My opponent chose to bring both Ghost Riders, Drax, and then Star-Lord. And
I didn't know you got both Ghost Riders.
Sorry, yeah, I was muted there, and I was laughing a lot. Not on screen. I was like, "Are you shitting me?" But
it's funny because you used to do that all the time. So it's funny that someone did it to you.
Yeah, and it's also funny that you won that game too. Yeah.
So I knew how to deal with them.
You're right.
Like, honestly, because I am very familiar with Guardians. I just know how that team works. So I was just able to deal with them. Like,
that's a good classic example we were talking about with webs. Is like, you know that matchup,
right?
So you know what to expect, which I think is a huge deal sometimes.
And so, Nick, I have a question here too before we move on, because there's a common, like, there's a theme here, and I know. So, for some context for our listeners too, Nick and I have been like kind of going back and forth on how to construct a defenders list, right?
Yep.
I've been having pretty good success with it, and Nick has had mixed results.
Yeah.
And so my question to you is, do you think potentially that maybe some of this is because you haven't played on these extracts enough, or like, what were mistakes you were making, do you think, on those extracts in particular? Because,
So I don't know if I made really extract mistakes, because I would try and grab them and just get away from people, especially on maps.
Was it like character mistakes, what you brought? Maybe
it was hard dealing with cubes taking a point of damage every turn. And defenders, they don't have a huge health pool.
Right. So maybe like even sliding in a healing card or a Wong in that matchup might
they
fix
would
that
need
problem.
it, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really the downfall of any match where it was cubes. I controlled the cubes. I'd usually have 3 to 4 of them for the majority of the games.
Yeah.
But just by the end, my characters were so beat from holding cubes that they were able to.
And to be fair, too, like, in maybe a little bit of your defense as well, it sounds a bit like you were playing against attrition teams.
Yes.
And so I guess, like, my one comment here, too, is, like, maybe you take a little bit more stealth in that case,
Yeah,
especially long range, like shield.
That was a problem. There was a couple matches I probably should have brought Miles in instead of another 3 threat. But
you're not really comfortable with him yet, though, so that makes sense.
With him, he's in the list, but I never think to take him. I'm always reaching for like Luke Cage or somebody because they always work for me really well.
Yeah, you'll find out why soon enough. Why Miles works. It takes reps, to be honest.
I've seen him used really well.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of.
Something that I did for a while, like back in the beginning of this year, is I would come up to a game and then purposely say, hey, I want to play this mission. And I would purposely force stuff. Like when Namor came out, I was forcing Namor into weird lists just to see what works and what doesn't. So sometimes you just want to like, hey, I'm going to play on I'm going to play on this wide scoundrels map with shield. I'm going to force Namor, and I'm going to see what happens. And so sometimes that just gives you the idea of what to expect, because sometimes it's hard to know what to do if you're not sure the outcomes and stuff, right?
And to be fair too, like we should all, the three of us in general, be doing that more with each other.
Oh,
you know?
I agree.
But anyways, round 4. Right?
So round 4, I got paired into an Asgard player who brought Mighty Thor, so Jane, Thor, Hero of Asgard, and Immortal Hulk.
Yeah, that list was just thick thighs all day.
It was thick thighs. It was annoying because Immortal Hulk's annoying. I found out that new Thor is extremely fast, like deceptively fast at how quick he can get across the board and catch you. It was that match, we literally scored the same amount of victory points until the very end. And again, it just came down to my characters weren't resilient enough, so they were all flipped, so I couldn't secure, where all his characters still could secure, with the exception of, I think, Jane. It was rough. And that wasn't even a cubes mission, but I think a little bit of the problem was, so I got forced into only having 3 extracts on the board, and there was only 4 secures. So I was basically forced to deal with Immortal Hulk. Like, it didn't really matter. He was going to be somewhere.
That's an attrition player's dream.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it's like a low-scoring game.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully, like, I ended up using Daredevil as bait to just take Hero of Asgard out of the game for like 3 turns. So, like, I was bouncing back and forth between 2 secures, but he eventually got me. And then last turn, the turn he won, he was able to double move Thor and then do his charge onto a point, which so it canceled out my point and got him to what he needed.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I would have won. Like, it was Shang-Chi that he moved up to. If Shang-Chi had been on his healthy side, I was winning that turn.
Right. Yeah. So, Nick, I guess overall, in terms of your 4 game, like, because like right here between the two of you, we have, opposite results, which is a different learning experience in each case, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think, what are you identifying? So after a tournament, right, I think this is an important thing for anybody, whether you do well or whether you do poorly, to sit back and be like, okay, what could I have done better? Like, what generalized points in this game may I be missing? And like, this is a question for both you and Steven.
Yeah, I have a good generalized point to pop in here too, which is for tournaments. It's really fun to carpool. Because then on the way home, you get to just talk about this. Because there's so much stuff. You're like, all right, what could I learn from this? Something I'll touch on really quickly with Nick's last game is we talked about his tactics card selection with Street Smarts, where it prevents characters getting thrown, because he was going into a big boy list that just threw everybody around. And he was like, man, once Brace is gone, I was out. So like that little thing where like, yeah, maybe you don't bring it every time, but it's something at least that you have the experience down the back of your brain to be like, all right, maybe this comes in for these, like if I'm seeing huge threats across the board with lots of throws.
And I don't think I took that card in that game. For whatever reason, I didn't take it. I used all my tactics, but I didn't take Street Smarts.
Yeah. And on that note too, like a generalized formula you said, Steven, is like, after you play games, even if they're just practice games, like I'm sure Steven and I at least are going to hunker down and like just do webs for like at least like 2 or 3 games. And after each game, just having someone to talk to about, okay, what can we, especially someone who's open to not caring whether they win or lose. So like as a great example, like Steven, when we go and do this, we play webs like 2 or 3 games in a row. I'm not there to win. I'm also there to figure out how to beat them. Because I honestly don't know. Like, as a player, as a webs player, sometimes I'm like, I don't know how to beat them. They're kind of broken in some scenarios, So having someone to kind of feedback with, talk about your games with, and just have a conversation. We all play these games and we like them. But in order to get better, you need to like debunk different scenarios, like maybe general concepts that you can apply to these sort of matchups.
I'll also say, like, in a tournament setting, like everyone I played with at this event, I mean, I could talk to you about games afterwards, and they'd be like, absolutely, let's talk about it, right? Like, don't ever be afraid to be like, man, I just got my butt kicked.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't understand what happened there. Just talk about it. Like, I would be more than happy to talk to somebody if they're like, hey, what's going on? I'd be like, hey, yeah, this is what I do well. Avoid this stuff.
Yeah, and some of the best players are always, and at least in my experience with MCP, like almost everyone, Matt Alex has kicked my ass too before. And afterwards I was like, Matt, what the fuck am I doing wrong? How do I approach this? And more than like probably 99% of the time, they're willing to sit down.
Yeah. Because they're just like playing the game like us, right? And so they're going to want to talk about it. And so like, yeah, I've never had a negative experience with anybody.
Yeah. And most of them will actually be like, what could I have done better? And you're like, you won. What do you want from me? But they're also asking that for those reasons. So
yeah, that's a good point too. Like, even if you win a game, like think about like, is there anything I should have done differently for that where I could have won better?
Yeah. Could you have been more efficient? Is a great question when you win. Were there better characters in your 10 you could have taken to improve your matchup potential,
Yeah.
So, but anyways, this all leads back to Nick, debunking that kind of down into, you and I are pretty ham on defenders right now. Like, what do you think,
I still really like them.
Well, that's not what I was asking, motherfucker.
Well, I don't even let me finish my sentence, man. You guys do this to me all the time. Like,
poor Nick.
It is poor Nick. I'm sad. No, I'm not really. I don't care. I had fun. I think the first game was a little bit. I should have taken Miles versus Luke Cage.
But just do Nick for sake of time. Just do like generalize
little things. Like, and the big thing is I don't like cubes. I think cubes it hurts too much, especially like if you go into an attrition based team, and there's a lot of attrition teams right now. And
well, here's actually not to interrupt you, but just to pause because this is a really good example. So Nick and I have built a very similar defenders list. I
will interject and say it's very similar but very different at the same time.
Yeah. But I guess like my overall point here was I don't feel uncomfortable on the missions I picked. And I even have Gamma in my list as a secure. But the overall point here is like missions work differently for different people with different affiliations. So I would say if like that one particular, I know that's one that maybe you haven't thought about a lot because you haven't played on it a lot.
I played on a lot this week.
Well, yeah. But like that was one of the first times, that you played on that a lot, and maybe it doesn't work for you, which is totally fine. Just like pivot, right?
Which is what I did. Like after the tournament, I immediately replaced it. I don't remember what I replaced it with, but
just like you dropped Gamma from your defenders list,
and it was for similar reasons. I just was taking too much damage. And finding that the by turn 3 or 4, I'd lose 2 to 3 characters, and then I'd not be able to recover. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned with defenders. I need to drop that, and I might play around with a few more resilient characters. I'm
also guessing that like your pacing in terms of scoring is very different from how aggressive I am.
Probably like my pacing. Like I think the only game I had a huge swing was against Spider Foes.
Yeah. And I'm kind of notorious for that in our own games.
Yeah.
So,
which I mean, I like getting that swing. It just didn't happen for me with most of the games.
To be fair, like those swing turns do take a lot of like turn 1 and 2 planning.
And like I struggle to work around Eye in the Sky, right?
Yeah,
like that's a hard one.
That card's dumb.
Yeah,
as a shield player, card it's very good.
Yeah, and to be fair, good. Like that shield defenders matchup is like a 50-50, I think.
Oh, yeah. Like it honestly came down to I failed at killing a character. If I had killed that character, the game would have probably gone the other way.
Yeah.
And I think it was Eye on the Sky that saved that character. So that just shows you how powerful like that card is, especially against a team that's range 2 for most of their stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that hurts you a lot more.
But no, I learned a lot. I learned that defenders are not very resilient, especially if they're just getting pinged damage without getting their defensive tech.
That might be a lesson you've been relearning too.
Yeah, I'm probably relearning it. Like I learned it with Gamma that I didn't like it, and now I've learned it with cubes and I don't like it. Sure, they get that extra power, but I didn't find myself needing that extra power so much as I needed that each hit point.
Yeah, I also just I'm just in Oh, go ahead,
Something
Steven.
I think that might be an example here why you're very similar but different is that you bring a lot more webs characters in your defenders list, and you usually want that extra power for like web swings and stuff. Nick doesn't. And so Nick usually has a lot more like Luke Cage, and so he doesn't need that extra power to be like the efficiency that he wants. And so that might be a difference right there. Where that's a very slight thing. It's a good example why you can't just grab somebody's list off the internet and play it and know perfectly what's going to happen, because that's a very minute detail.
That's an amazing point to bring up in a tournament.
Really
is. Steven. Yeah.
Like if someone just grabbed my list and played it, and they're trying to play like Namor wide stuff on EMAPs, it's like that's not what the list is designed to do. And so there's differences there.
Well, also play style. For example, Nick and I. It's not good or bad, but like I play that movement game like a lot more.
Yes.
And so that extra power for me like means I can put my characters in better positions. It also means the characters that I bring are like usually they're with big spenders, right? So while I'm taking that damage, I get early big spenders to hit clap back. So it's just versus kind of Nick's style, which is more protective. I think you're kind of more used to thicker characters given your Guardian playstyle. So
so
it's just an adjustment, to pivot in one way or the other.
Yeah. And a good example is like sometimes don't listen to people, right? Like if you're like, hey, I don't want to do that. Like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing, and you're playing the game, not them.
I mean, if I listened to people on MCP, I would never have run Dormammu.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So, and for you, even Steven, your microcosm here, like, I'm trying to think, like, you've denied a lot. Here's a great example, Steven. Like, you're in the top, 3 of Shield players, and you've been running them pretty much until Namor came out without a solid steal.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't have a steal basically up until
you didn't need one because that's not how you played, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to point out to our listeners too, especially even if you're like a pretty seasoned. We talk a lot about new listeners, but like if you're a seasoned veteran and you're just stuck in this kind of rut of the same list construction over and over again, I think it's important to know that like there's 180 characters or 160, 180. And there are some out there that like people just aren't considering, because you're stuck in these patterns. And so it's good to experiment, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And no hate to like I get it. Like, it's tried and true. It works. Right. But, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. But anyways.
And then just to end off on mine, like, oh man, my throat. Excuse me. Shang-Chi's awesome. Like, that guy, the only match he didn't really perform for me was in the Shield match, because we basically had a Shang-Chi versus Shang-Chi. So they were
I love it
the whole time, which was annoying because I wish I could have used him to deal with other characters, but I didn't have anything else that could deal with Shang-Chi.
So. Yeah, I might be trying him out every once in a while. I think it's.
I think I recommended him to you a little while ago.
Yeah, you did. But once you're going with that Namor Zemo kind of play style, I think he could fit in well, as long as you can keep your affiliation well, which might get challenging, but I think it's pretty easy to do, probably.
That just means you take 2 other Shield characters and you run 5, with Namor and Zemo. Shang-Chi and Zemo as your splashes.
It'd just be hard at like 17 and 19, where you usually need like a 2 threat.
Yeah, well, then run
because my 2 threat's not affiliated. Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, so it's something to play with.
Yep. So overall, I guess, since I wasn't there, I've been texting Steven and Nick all weekend about how sad I am about this. So, just like generally speaking, how was your? I know we already talked about how much fun you had. So, trying to wrap this up, but also, I don't know, interject here.
Yeah, I got something. I think super positive event. I think I've said this before. We're in a really fun place in Marvel Crisis Protocol right now because the meta.
It's a weird place.
It's weird, right? There is Winter Guard in there. Spider foes are coming around. Like, there's just so much fun, different stuff, right? And like, everything was really wide. Like, yeah, there was only 2 webs and 2 shields, right? Yeah. And we talked the most about them, but like, there was an X-Force, Hellfire Club still playing, X-Men, Wakanda. Yeah, so everything was there.
I'll just run through the top 8 too. So we've got webs in first, shield in second, webs in third, shield in fourth, but then it gets interesting. Well, even that in itself is interesting. But then in 5th we have Spider Foes. 6th we had Guardians. 7th was Winter Guard, and then 8th was actually Cabal slash New Asgardians slash unaffiliated.
Yeah, he put that in for a joke because Midgard does.
Yeah, we know the guy, so
yeah, you can do like a thing where you earn points if you play weird stuff. So there's one if you play unaffiliated, you get points. So he put that in there just for that. That's all.
He'll be on next week, but that motherfucker.
But yeah, like it's just really cool that like this game is very different. And then a comparison, if you look at like NashCon, which is like the big event this weekend, that top 8 had 2 Inhumans players in it. And then Avengers list won it. And so it's like you can bring whatever you want in this game, I feel like, and you can do well, right? There's nothing in this game, maybe not Sentinels, but that's a different story. But like I think there's enough balance in this game. I think you can do whatever you want. And it's just I think it's a really healthy game for that reason. And then with this new shift in tactics cards, oh man, it's a fun time to play because you're just learning so much new stuff. Everything's different. You're just seeing and learning so much more stuff.
Then,
and it's really fun.
Consequently, too, in less than a month, we're going to have fucking New Mutants and Apocalypse drop. It's completely new affiliation. So we'll be seeing how they kind of fit into this meta as well. Yeah, which will it's exciting times. You know?
It really is.
So in terms of general meta, I know we wanted to touch on this too before we close out. I don't know. In terms of affiliations, yeah, Steven, you're right. Like it's the Wild West out there right now, you know? We don't really know what's the top. Let's just like indicate maybe 2 or 3 affiliations we think are like kind of up there.
Well, I'm going to say Webs and Shield, but I'm a little biased there.
I mean, people are splashing Shield more than they were before the card update. So that's, you know, one good indication is like looking at players who aren't really affiliation, what do you call that?
Specialist.
Devoted?
Yeah, affiliation specialist. A good example of this would be Salt City GT had 6 Shield players in it, and that was 2 weeks ago. It was like out of nowhere, and they weren't people that usually play Shield, like people who had kind of jumped onto them as a new thing.
That's a bummer, but that also makes you like, I mean, as a quick anecdote, especially coming from competitive 40K, I was always someone who was like, you play your affiliation, you pick one, and you play it fucking the best you can. It's a bummer when people do more than like 3, I think. Yeah, just kind of like run the new meta. But it is indicative of what's going on in the game. So
yeah, and some people like that challenge where you got to figure out the new fun stuff.
Yeah, I know. I find certain skill in getting to know an affiliation.
I agree with you as somebody who's played Shield for like ever. Like I agree with you, but I think some people like to play that new stuff, and
I'm not like hating on it. I know it's totally fine, and I know that it happens. I just think there's a certain skill in like learning characters very in depthly, and like actually going through those rough times when they're not good, and really understanding your affiliation. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, besides my small anecdote, yeah, Shield's looking like it's pretty popular. So
yeah, because new.
Yeah. Defenders too. I'm seeing a lot of that still.
There's a good list at NashCon. Our list that did well at NashCon too. So
yeah, totally different list than I run, but it did very well. So, Nick, like, what are you seeing in terms of affiliations?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to that nearly as much as you two do.
Oh, you just want to play your stuff.
Yeah.
So I am seeing one thing I will point out too here, Nick, which is maybe something that you might be interested in, is I am seeing a weird resurgence of Guardians without Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yep. That
like does. A wider Guardians.
Yeah, I've been thinking about just playing a wider Guardians just for the hell of it with no E-maps. We'll see what they can do.
To be honest too, like we've played a lot of games, and the closest game that we've ever had was when you went wide Guardians against Dark Dimension in the battle report. So
that was a fun list too. Like that ultra wide Guardians was really fun.
Yeah, and we both, FYI, behind the scenes, we both consciously didn't take Bill, but I think if you replaced Bill with Gamora, that would have been even closer.
Probably. I think I would have played slightly different though. Bill would have been up the middle, right? Like
sure, but I still think it would have been a much closer game.
I'm very comfortable with Bill at this point. Like he gets splashed in my defenders a lot. Like it's better that I don't bring Bill because he's Bill and he does so much that other characters.
Well, you probably arguably would bring him too much, but
I probably do. Like he's probably become a little bit of a crutch, honestly.
Yeah.
Because he's just so good at stuff. But
so I do think they're seeing kind of like even at NashCon. So I'm not just looking at at the Midgard tournament, but there's top 8. There's a Guardians Asgard, joint list. So, and then even below the top 8, you've got okay, never mind. I take it back. Never mind. But we're seeing some good results with them.
Yeah, there was also 2 Guardians players this weekend, but I don't think they placed very well.
One of them was number 6.
Came in 6,
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, he was still running CGR. Like, even when people were like, "Oh man, CGR is bad," he got nerfed. He still ran him.
I don't think CGR is bad.
CGR is
I don't think it's bad at all. I think you should never be afraid of a character because they got nerfed.
Oh, by the way, that's Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he is bad if Bill and Shang-Chi come up to him, though.
Maybe, but
that is not a good thing for him.
So some other stuff. Hellfire was lower than I expected them to be at both tournaments I'm seeing this weekend. Because NashCon's kind of the major one that's going on. But also, so when you're, I guess, like a general tool, too, when you're looking at tournament results, don't just look at kind of like the big ones. Also look at what's going on in your local meta, because that's also very indicative, because people are trying different things, and also these bigger tournaments also have a ton of local players who are developing their own meta, so you have to kind of keep all those things in line. And I think the first Hellfire Club, but that also keep in mind, like, this is an experimentation time. Some of these lists, like, people aren't willing to take risks yet, right? So even though we're seeing Hellfire, the first Hellfire in NashCon at like 25, position 25, it's position 25. That might be because people are like a little bit too in that cookie cutter, like, oh, it's a tactics card, I can't take Hellfire anymore. So you don't know what's going to happen.
Like, let things play out. If you like it, but it gets nerfed, still try it. Don't just like give up because something changed about a card.
And people do that a lot, to be fair. They'll be like, oh, this isn't as good as it used to be. I'm out of here,
Yeah, like if I walked up to a Guardians table and they had CGR, I wouldn't be like, oh, no, I got this. That guy's worthless now. I'd be like, dang it, I have to deal with that guy. He's very obnoxious to deal with.
And he's more like a turn 2 player now, which even creates like a different dynamic in the Guardians list. So
he's still very good.
Yes.
In that game I played, he dazed 4 of my characters in round 2. So
he's a good fucking character. I mean, would I take him over normal Ghost Rider now? Maybe not, because of like normal but for me it's like objective play, right? But that so when you're picking a character, you're also thinking, like, what do they do? Why am I taking them, right? But anyways, in terms of general meta, I don't know. It's kind of up for grabs. Obviously, Webs and Shield are definitely up there. And Winter Guard, I actually think, is like kind of a third.
Yeah, and I think they're a sleeper. Like, keep an eye, especially when Apocalypse comes out, because they can remove conditions for their leadership, and so we might start to see them.
Oh, they're a great anti-meta.
Yeah, so
faction.
You might see them peak up, and then you can easily splash into other things with them, like Cabal. So especially if Dracula monster stuff is in Cabal, like, you got lots of options there, I think, going forward.
Yeah, and selfishly, so I'll ask you two this before I give my opinion, because you know what's coming here, maybe.
Is it Dark Dimension?
As a Dark Dimension player, I'm trying to think of if it's a good time for him. I think it might be. But what do you think on that? Like, big Dormammu, or even just like big centralized. Honestly, there's only him that does that. That centralized leader, a threat. So what are your thoughts? You can be brutally honest. I mean, I've been playing Defenders anyway, so.
It's a tough question. I think you could have play. I don't think people are teched into big kaiju threats right now very well, or not expecting them sometimes, because like the highest threat you see a lot of times is Namor.
You see, that's what I was thinking.
So you could catch people with that. However, I mean, I don't know your objective play as much. I think it depends on your pull, right? If there's like a 5 threat extract, like maybe not. But I still think you could probably catch people off guard, and then he's a pretty simple dual affiliated list,
right?
Where you can
we're also talking him,
which is nice.
This isn't the Dormammu specific, so we're just talking about my list. My list is duo with Webs, so I
think your list is very strong in the meta right now, I would say, because you still you can go between both well, and you can really catch people off guard with Dark Dimension, and I think that's kind of a little ace in your sleeve you can always pull out.
Yeah, especially since, like, in terms of again, here's the concept I'm bringing back here is like reps. I have so many reps with Dark Dimension at this point. I think it's like 30, 40 plus. So they're not all registered on Longshanks, obviously. So just having that amount of experience can dictate, like, you know, you may even no. I mean, like right now, yeah, the move is like Webb's Dormammu. But like, say Webb's got nerfed or like something changed, maybe I splash a different affiliation in there, right?
Yeah.
So, Webb's, you know what? Dark Dimension Shield, just to piss you off, Steven. It's gonna be my next move.
Go for it. I'd like to see it.
I wouldn't. So fuck that. But anyways,
God, I'm having nightmares of Dark Dimension with Eye in the Sky.
Oh well, now I have to do it just to play Nick.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, but so one of the reasons I asked that too is because, you know, we're talking about kind of like recent development of meta. I think it's important to note one context you should always maybe think of your own. Like if you're an affiliation diehard, right? I think it's always putting your list in context of the meta and then seeing maybe pieces you need to add or subtract, right? Like you don't, just because the meta shifts in this game, it's like relatively balanced. So you should always kind of note, okay, maybe the meta shifted this way. Maybe I need to include more characters who do. For example, you know, Apocalypse is coming out. Lots of status conditions will be handed out. Maybe you're really gung ho about, I don't know, X-Force. Maybe you put a piece in there that can kind of help you in that matchup. So because this game has such the ability to always kind of keep whatever faction you're kind of loyal to in the game, without switching, you can kind of make your list work. So I just want to note that, I guess. No comments. Okay. I was hoping for some feedback, but you know, fuck it.
I say play it against everybody but me.
Yeah.
I've played it so much with you.
Oh, I'm not even talking about Dark Dimension, but
I'm just saying in general. Just play Dark Dimension into everybody but me.
There you go.
There you go.
Happy Nick equals happy life for Nick.
Yes.
So I think one thing to just touch on here that we talked about offline before we close this. So despite affiliations, because this game's pretty balanced, what are we starting to see more of in general? I mean, I know the big one, but Steven, you want to answer that because he's in your list? No. Steven maybe have had to step away for a moment. Yeah, so we'll just go through this without him, and I know he would definitely double down on this. I think right now, in terms of the meta, we're seeing a ton of Namor.
Yeah.
He's in Webs now. He's in S.H.I.E.L.D. now. He's in Defenders now. S.H.I.E.L.D. and Defenders, he's affiliated.
Just makes me so sad, though.
Yeah, well, Steve's gone. Let's talk about including a character whose character in the comics is like the worst.
I can't.
How do you feel about that, Nick?
I had a couple people ask me why, and I'm like, I can't stand the character. So I don't know if I'll ever run him. But
why?
See.
You know, actually, while Steven's gone, without talking about actual gameplay, why don't you like Namor as a character?
Because he's a douchebag.
Okay. Yep. That's where I was hoping you were going with it, but but get specific here.
He's just such a horrible person, and he's just got so many character traits that I can't stand in
like what?
Real
Be
people.
Specific.
He's arrogant. He thinks he's better than everybody.
You know who he reminds me of? And this will be controversial, and I hope it creates discussion. He reminds me of Horus.
He reminds you of Horus, like from
Think about it.
Horus
Not
Heresy Horus?
Horus after he's stabbed with the anime.
Yeah, I guess you're right a little bit.
Arrogant as all hell.
Yeah.
Thinks he's the new coming to the universe and going to save everything. And then also just rips his shirt off for no reason.
Doesn't even wear pants.
Merman!
He's also got stupid little wings. He's a freaking mermaid, but he has wings on his feet.
Yeah, he doesn't even have a fucking fin like a real mermaid.
Now all the Namor lovers are going to come out and try and crucify us.
I hope so.
But
controversy creates the best, click rate.
That's true. We're just gonna start naming all of this stuff. Namor.
Namor. No, Steven pronounced his name correctly. It's French. Namor.
Listen, I had to stare at Namor again for 3 hours worth of road trip.
Mm-hmm. And he had some erectile dysfunction at the end, so I'm breaking his trident.
Okay, I know this is random and we're trying to wrap this up, but like, Steven, you really have to model like green stuff like giant dick on him.
I almost suggested he do that when it broke.
Not doing that. Could you imagine showing up to a game store and like, I'm gonna put my model down there like, can you leave, sir?
Well, it's better than the Nazi controversy. Did you hear about that before you came?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Let's skim past that.
Ugh.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, anyways, modeling big dicks on your models is totally fine. And encourage
not
in
Namor. Model a small dick on Namor because he doesn't deserve a big dick.
Okay, so anyways, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Steven, do you think from your experience, any besides Namor and Zemo, any kind of like characters we're seeing splashed more often or used more often outside of affiliation? You know, well, they can be affiliated, but you know what I mean.
I think probably Shang-Chi is going to be the one that we're going to see a lot of too.
Yeah, that's solid.
Because you're going to see him outside stuff. Because he's just a good character. He's got good toolbox to use, and so people like him.
Yeah, and he's very momentum, super momentum driven. And he doesn't take a lot to get going, which is he's efficient, you know.
And you can throw him at most stuff, and he can hold his own or deal with him in some way. So I think you'll see him pretty often in things here or there. I think he's a good splash.
Yeah, I think he's better. So I guess before we leave, Namor I think is best used in all those three affiliations. We're going to see him everywhere, but I think he's best used in Shield, best used in Defenders, and then best used in Webs. Especially since Webs already was taking Zemo, so they just kind of already inherently have like a triple or quadruple reroll defensive bubble, which is just stupid.
Yeah,
but. And then I think Shang-Chi is best used in Defenders. I think he's really good in Shield. I don't know if he really has a place in Webs, but he could.
No, but I think you could see him in Wakanda. You could probably see him in Midnight Suns. Like any of the upfront fighting people, I think will use him.
Or anyone who benefits from like
honestly
map to
New Humans or New Mutants. They'll probably want him for because he can teleport up with it and stuff like that. Like
I actually don't know if I agree with that, but it's a conversation for another day. So
well, he wants to they want to be kind of close together, so I think he could fit. I don't think it's wrong if you want to splash him, go for it.
Right? No. That's what
we're
talking about Milo specifically here.
No, I'm just talking in general, New Humans. Yeah. God damn it, New Mutants. I don't know why I can't say that name.
Because it's New Humans.
Okay, so we're going to pause right here and just tell everybody there's this great new comic line coming out, brought to you by Alive on One. It's called New Humans. It's your normal rate humans, but with Steven spelling the affiliation wrong. So, sorry, that was meant to be funnier, and then it just flopped. So, here we are.
I thought you were going to call our spin-off episodes.
New Humans?
Do our comic review stuff.
Oh, we should call it. Yeah, great idea. Yeah. All right, so this is a tournament recap. Final thoughts?
Namor sucks. Don't use him.
Okay, hold on. Let me interrupt you. Final constructive and positive thoughts?
Positive thoughts. If you do go to a tournament, just use it as more of a learning opportunity. Don't go there and think you need to win. Also, if you are not winning, try and have a good attitude, because a lot of times people will start losing and their attitudes change, which can cause unfun games for other people. So just a couple little things to keep in mind, and just don't feel like you need to be the best at a tournament.
Yeah. Also remember, it's a game, and you're also playing against a human being on the other side of this game.
Yeah, exactly. And if you notice the other person is having a bad time with it, try and be the positive person. Just make sure everybody's having fun. I know it sucks to lose, but you still want to try and have a good time, especially when you're paying for an event and you're there for several hours.
Yeah. And Steven?
Yeah, have fun. Play this game for fun. Go to tournaments. It's a great place just to say, hey, I'm going to get 4 games in a row, meet new people, talk to shit, have a good time. That's kind of why you go.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Make sure you go to 99 afterwards.
Mm-hmm. That's like our thing. For those who don't know, we always go to the 99. Yeah, so kind of to close out here. So look forward to, this is coming out on a Thursday, almost like the end of August, surprisingly. So after this, we're going to record a Asgard specific affiliation. We'll have our friend John coming on, who's a local guy who was running Asgard for good or for ill. And so he's kind of a diehard. And so we'll pick his brain about the affiliation, how it's changed, if you think Loki's broken. And then after that, we'll kind of take it from there. Nick and I are going to recap our game on the battle report. And we hope you're all having fun with MCP. It's like really exciting times right now. Lots of new stuff coming on the horizon. September, October, November, they're all kind of loaded. So we'll have a lot of discussion around some of the new pieces coming out, a lot of the new affiliations, which is really exciting, coming out. And so for those of you who tune in regularly, thank you so much for tuning in. You can always email us at aliveon1@gmail.com. You can follow us at aliveon1 on Instagram. And we'll be coming out with a lot of new stuff. Please, if you're local, join in for the team tournament on September 14th. And we thank you so much for listening. And as usual, Godspeed, Spider-Man. Bye-bye.